Hey, this is Anthony.
And this is Drew.
We're going to be having a little fun here today. We've decided to start up our own little podcast here, do a little bit of to and fro about really anything. Literally. It could be sports, not sports.
Not sports.
Not sports.
No.
It could be gaming, probably gaming.
Probably.
Maybe a little bit of politics.
Probably. Maybe.
Okay, he's not too keen on that. But, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun here.
We're basically two nerds who are going to talk about anything and everything we can get our grubby little hands on.
You could almost call this a blank space, and we're trying to fill it in. Don't give me that look. You're giving me that look. I just plugged the name. What do you want from me?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Except for maybe a topic.
Okay, fine. We got a topic. Well, you don't want my topic, so... We've already covered that, alright? So you pick one out, okay?
I don't know. I like the Sneeple one.
No. Sneeple wasn't a real topic.
So, alright.
Snacks were a real topic, You know, like the little stupid names for animals that, like, kind of make you smile, but, like, you don't really want to actually say it out loud, which I just did. Because, like snakes, or like, doges, or like, shoot.
Coos?
Coos?
Coos.
What's a coos?
It's like the Chick-fil-A. That's their mascot, Coos.
Wait. Are you cows?
Yeah, Coos.
Is that what that is?
Coos.
That's...
I'm starting an internet thing.
Alright.
Memes are so easy these days. Have you seen memes lately?
Right.
They're not exactly top quality.
I was going more along the lines of, like cat snakes, ferrets, like cat snakes or ferrets.
Sorry, cat snakes?
Yes! Because they're kind of like cats, but they kind of roll around like snakes.
You've entirely lost me, and I'm gonna divert the conversation to something constructive. Otherwise, it's gonna be me being like, so is it head snake body cat, or is it body snake?
It is literally
head cat?
It is literally just a ferret, right? And it is like a furry animal, like a cat, right? But it's long like a snake.
I don't think that's fair, because then what do you call like those wiener dogs? You don't call them like snake dogs.
I mean, they're just...
We're taking this in a constructive path.
We are.
We're taking it in a constructive path.
This is. We are marching forward towards something that I'm scared of.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So, tell you what, I'll bring up the first one.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay.
So, one of the topics I wanted to talk about was a lot of... Thank you.
I'm feeling dead air.
Thank you.
That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Trying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Forward motion again.
Dramatic pause.
Yes. Okay, you gotta speak.
So, one thing... So, it's the end of the year. It's the beginning of the year, basically.
Okay.
It's January. A lot of the lists have come out of, like, best movies of 2016, best games of 2016, best of anything. And, well, I think that's an interesting conversation to have. Me and Anthony here haven't played a lot of games in 2016 that were released in 2016.
Well,
is that fair to say?
I mean, it's sort of fair to say I played all the best games.
All two of them.
Well, hold on here. I played some pretty good ones. I mean, like, for one, Stardew Valley, that's some good stuff. Oh, and you know what else is a good thing? Stellaris. That came out in 2016.
Oh yeah, that was like January. Wait, no, March?
It was a time.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of lost myself in it, and then just did not observe the world around me.
I don't know when the game came out. It's like me and Warframe. I don't technically know when that game came out. I've just been playing it for an absurdly long amount of time.
It's just a part of your life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's... Okay.
But... The topic at hand, because I mean, if we did best of the year, we'd probably have like a top two of the year, where it's like, yeah, we played 2 games.
Okay.
And of course, it would be Doom, even though you haven't played it, because Doom is great.
Because it has metal, and metal is good. Especially pirate metal. Pirate metal's the pirate-y.
I mean, most of the buildings you're going in are metal, because I mean, they're on Mars, and it's lots of sand. It's kind of hard to build stuff out of wood on Mars. But that's beside the point. The topic I want to bring up is... games that came out in 2016 that are going to be remembered 10 years from now. It doesn't have to be specifically 10, but just past its point of like, oh, well, I had fun with that, and then forgotten forever. So, like, a game I would not recommend is your lovely Christmas present to me, Slavistan.
Oh, no, that
Game is not going to be remembered in 10 years.
I don't know, man. Punching bears is a pretty cool thing to do. Like, it just, like, makes me feel like...
Well, do you actually punch bears in that game? Well, you punch a lot of bar patrons and the bear comes along. But you also dance with a bear. There's another game on there I've already forgotten about.
I mean, like, you've already, like, you have to be the best squatter as well. Like, I mean, like, I personally think this is a memorable experience. Though, granted, one you're not going to spend more than 10 minutes with. But that's besides the point.
All right, so apparently your nomination for game that'll be remembered well past 2016.
Now, hold up. I wasn't saying that, no.
Squattistan.
I'm just saying it's sort of memorable, but no, this is not my recommendation.
There are other games with Russia in it that are going to be remembered well past that.
That is true.
So... do you have any actual recommendations?
I do, actually. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to go back to what I've already said. Stardew Valley is definitely one. It's one of those games where you just collect resources. You know, you be your own. You get on your own farm, and like you just kind of let yourself zone out into like this nice process of going day by day. It's just nice, peaceful, relaxing, and you don't get a lot of games like that. I mean, you do have like the Harvest Moon games. For those that aren't familiar, it's the same type of thing, right? Except Stardew Valley is on PC, and that's what I do, right? I don't do anything else. I don't touch any other peasantry or whatever.
Peasantry. Good word for it. So, I guess give a small description of Stardew Valley, though, because, like, I haven't played it, but I'm familiar enough with it, but I know a lot of people probably aren't super familiar with it. What do you do in the game that is so relaxing and so memorable?
It's one of those games, right? Like, it's like a Farmville game, or like any of those Facebook games or anything like that, right? Where you get... No, hold up here. This is a bad...
I was going to say, you said Farmville, I'm like, you had many options to choose from. You chose the wrong one.
I did choose the wrong one. But this is okay. So I'm thinking of explaining this to my dad. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of doing right now. Okay,
all right,
right. So it's basically one of those games where you do like that process, right? Except it doesn't feel repetitive, and it actually feels rewarding to do, right? Okay, so like they do it in such a way that, like you build your own farm. You basically get to live out your own little life. Like anybody that's ever enjoyed The Sims, right, could definitely find a lot of enjoyment in Stardew Valley. I said that right.
Yes, definitely. I
Proper
heard it
English. Yes. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe the game. I mean, like, it's good.
Well, I guess the thing I'm looking for specifically, and I'll take devil's advocate because I think Stardew Valley will be remembered. I don't think it'll be remembered in gaming history. I don't think when eventually there are history books written about gaming, Stardew Valley will show up.
Okay.
I think it's just I think it'll be stuck around for a while though. People will point to it and say, yes, that was a very good game or something. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for something like people will point back to or reference for it. Like a new game is coming out in the Harvest Moon series, and they'll point back and say it's no Stardew Valley or something. Like I want a checkpoint. I want something that's like, oh, you can point back and say, this is something that definitely people will remember.
I mean, from what I've understood is that I haven't played any of the Harvest Moon games, right? But a lot of people that have played Harvest Moon have said Stardew Valley is a better Harvest Moon. So, like, that's one thing it definitely has going for it, right?
Okay.
So I feel like it is a checkpoint just because, like, it's deviated enough from Harvest Moon to be a completely separate entity. And for Harvest Moon then to look onto it and be like, okay, I can do stuff better, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
All right, yeah, I get you.
I feel like Stardew Valley definitely is a checkpoint just because nobody else is doing it. Mm-hmm. It's literally been like, it's Harvest Moon and nothing. Right?
Well,
I mean, it's my knowledge at least. I'm not too familiar with anything else.
To be fair, there are games coming out like it. Like, there's the Harvest Moon series is still going.
Oh yeah,
it's
it
still
is.
making games.
I'm not saying it's dead or anything.
But unfortunately, a lot of people's complaints are that it's not what it used to be at all. And actually, there was another game that came out. I think it was called Story of Seasons or something like that. And those were the original devs of Harvest Moon making a game again.
Okay.
Like, the people who make Harvest Moon now are not the original team in any way. But team that made Story of Seasons is, and from what I've heard, it's like a good middle point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people who enjoy Stardew Valley definitely say, like, this is the game that I want.
Mm-hmm.
While people who play Story of Seasons are like, it's almost there. It's around what I'd want. At least that's the feeling I got. I mean, God knows what everyone's feelings are, but that's the feelings I got. So you'd say Stardew Valley is definitely something that 5-10 years from now people will still be referencing.
I feel like it. I definitely do feel like it because it has such a charm to it, right? Right. It's just not like just a collection thing. Like the whole game has a certain charm to it. Like it has an aesthetic that's just so nice, right, and pleasing. It doesn't have like it feels really cohesive, right? It's just like everything just falls. I'm doing hand gestures that are not going to show up, and that's not going to be useful to anybody.
Visual jokes in an audio medium.
My fingers are going together here, right? Like it's supposed to be cohesive.
Just do the point. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Just do the point.
Like everything just comes together very nicely. Like nothing feels out of place. It just all falls in so nicely together. That's why I feel like it's such a good game, and it's going to be a memorable game.
Yeah, and I think, mind you, coming from someone who's never played it, just has read a lot about it and plans on playing it eventually. I think it'll be memorable, and I think honestly people will still be playing it maybe 5 years from now because with mod support, I know they're going to continue to release expansions and stuff for the game where it's just like more content for it. That I think honestly this game will stick around as either a singular game that people still play or maybe even a series. Because maybe eventually he'll release a second one or something.
I mean, like, the whole dev story alone is something that we could talk about, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, really. Oh my god. That would be actually an interesting topic. Just games that we like that have one or very few amount of people working on them.
Yeah, literally one man built this game.
Yeah. I don't know if I can think of one. You know, I'm sure Modern Warfare 2 was made entirely by one person.
Banished was made by one person.
Really?
Yeah.
Never played it.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, I think I have.
Okay.
But it was a very short amount of time. It was not like a long amount of time. And I liked it. I just didn't stick around very long.
Yeah. That's my type of game though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to actually go back into my Steam library and see what is like a one man band kind of game.
Gotcha.
Because I know of games, but I've never played a large amount of them. Like I played a good bit of Cave Story, and that's the only one I can really think of off the top of my head that like definitely is one person. But regardless, different day, different podcast, different time.
Yes, we'll get there. So now tell me yours, good sir.
Now, I have a few, so I don't know if you want to bounce back and forth, or you just want me to go on, like...
We can bounce back and forth.
Okay.
I got, like, at least one more that I think is going to be, you know, pretty recommended.
I wonder what it could be.
I wonder, too. I have, like, no idea.
So...
You go ahead, though.
My nomination for it...
You have to look at...
Would be... Well, I was just looking up to make sure this game had not come out before 2016.
Okay.
And my nomination is Overwatch.
Okay.
I'm genuinely shocked at how much I like it. I'll speak in I statements and then I'll speak in a larger sense.
Okay.
How much I like this game.
Okay.
There's a thing with me where I have long stretches of like playing the same game day in and day out for long stretches of time. And those games are like Team Fortress 2, the original StarCraft, Warframe. But for a long time I was looking for a game that like kind of captured my interest that way. And Overwatch really did, in a way that was just crazy, where over the holidays they had multiple events back to back, and I'm still playing, not feeling burned out, when I would literally go home from work and play that game for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time or something like that. Now I'll speak in a broader sense.
Okay.
That game has held on to a massive audience in a year where a lot of the conversation in the games industry and the gaming scene at large is maintaining an audience. there's tons of examples this year of games that came out and just the player base died within like a week, a month, 2 months of the game coming out. And Overwatch has continued to truck along and stay strong that entire time with updates and new characters and all that. And while I haven't mentioned anything game-changing about it, I think it does everything in it well enough that I think it will be a trendsetter.
Okay.
It'll be something people will point back to. And obviously, I'm talking about a Blizzard game, a massive company releasing a game they don't do very often. They're releasing a game, and it being a big deal. I mean, obviously, anytime a AAA developer releases a game, it's somewhat of a big deal. But I feel like this definitely changed the scene of shooters, or just certain games in general, for, I don't want to say the better, but I want to say like, because I mean obviously people can pull whatever they want from Overwatch, but I think generally Overwatch has shown how to do this kind of model really, really well, and how to build a very good game with not a massive amount of complex parts.
That was good.
Ooh. I'm glad my point made sense, because most of the way through it I'm like
I couldn't even interrupt there. I was just like, wow, he's really going. That was cohesive. That was good. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. Do I get a gold star?
No, but anyway.
So
okay, so
I was going
first
to say
things first.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say.
So for those who have not played Overwatch, before,
okay,
right? Like, I'm personally somebody who actually has not played Overwatch.
That is very true. I should have realized most of the way through that I had not described the game in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So Overwatch is a
it has something to deal with like a lot of shooting.
Monkeys. Yeah, monkeys. Like monkeys jumping around. Usually, it's pretty fun. It's got a big lightning gun. It's great.
That was great. I'm sold.
Perfect.
I'm buying it now.
No, Overwatch is a 6 versus 6 first-person shooter game that's class-based as opposed to your shooters that would be like, oh, I pick up a weapon, or I set up a loadout of weapons, which you might think when I say class, but class more in the ideas of like a League of Legends or a Dota game. Where
So it's not like Team Fortress 2. It's more like different roles doing different things.
Exactly. So something like so for example, instead of like in a Call of Duty game where you'd set up a class and you'd say, okay, I want to have this gun and this gun and this gun and a perk. You have set characters, and I say characters very heavily because it's not like, oh, you can design your own person. You are taking on a character. You are taking on a specific kind of character for the game, and they have a loadout of skills, abilities, guns, all kinds of stuff, and they all do something very, very well. Where something like Bastion is a turret, is basically a living turret who can move around and shoot and does a ton of damage, but he's entirely stationary while doing that massive amount of damage.
I gotcha.
Or something like Reinhardt, who's basically a guy with a giant shield who stops the team, who stops the team from taking damage. Everyone has a role, more or less, in the game, and it's all objective based. Where like, oh, you're either capturing a point, or you're pushing a payload somewhere, or something along those lines. But the interesting thing about the game is the classes and how they synergize together. Because in a game that has, I want to say like 25 to 30 characters. No, more like 20 to 25, sorry. 20 to 25. All of them feel really good to play, more or less.
So all of them, no matter what you're playing as, all of them are always going to feel like an individual character that does things in their own way that allows you to feel completely different no matter how you're going about it, right?
Yeah, it comes down to what do you like to play as, or what does the team need right now, or something like that.
So this is my question then.
Okay.
Why is this different than like any Call of Duty release, or why is it different than like why do you think this game is going to be the game that's remembered? Is it because of the characterization of everybody, or what?
I definitely think the characters alone could be a nomination for this, where just simply Overwatch alone could be remembered for its characters, not even story, because the game doesn't have a big overarching story. It has, I mean, for the people who are going to say it in the comments, there is a story, but it is not in the forefront in any way, shape, or form. Basically,
you have so much hope in us. You think we're going to get comments.
I know.
Whew.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing that people will comment on, it's when someone gets something wrong.
You're fuzzy already.
But the characters alone are really memorable, and before the game's release, people were already, like, in love with every character that had come out.
Mm-hmm.
Any character they'd seen, they were already, like, drawing fan art of and figuring out stories or making up stories for them. But the thing I really think it would come down to is the mechanics of the game itself, because while, I mean, if you want to break it down to its literal bare bones essentials, yes, it is a game about going around and shooting other guys who are trying to do a thing. But the way the characters are set up, the abilities they have, and the synergies between everything works incredibly well.
So this is just one of those games where everything... I'm doing the hand thing again, where like I put all my fingers like interlocking with each other. Everything just comes together.
That's a weird interlocking. You were like just touching your fingernails.
Yo, hold up, guys. I was doing a different hand motion, but whatever. You know, I'm doing hand motions again,
Yes.
and it's audio.
Great.
I'll get good at this.
Okay,
Trust me.
Don't worry. I mean, I have other games that don't worry. I'll come back to it. But still, you were saying.
No, that was it. That was it. Everything just kind of interlocks so nicely and beautifully that like it just feels good, right?
It feels
like
good.
it feels something that's like momentous. It feels like something that feels so complete and like good to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hard to describe in a way.
Yeah, and that's something that's interesting about the game is it's hard to describe why I think it's generally going to be like a game that's long remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But I can point to games that are already trying the model, kind of. So, before this game came out, obviously class-based shooters were not a new thing.
Okay.
Like Team Fortress 2, for example. That already had its own set of characters that you played as. They all had their own distinct weapons and all that. But the way Overwatch sets up its stuff is that it adds a new layer on top of that, which is skills and abilities that really work with and against other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, certain characters boost other characters and keep that momentum going on a team, while some characters can basically stop that momentum full stop.
Okay.
But I feel like it's. Yeah, I guess just when it comes down to it, it's hard to explain why, but I figure the game feels great to play. It's got a cast of characters that people already love, and it seems like it did everything almost right.
I mean, honestly, I can't really disagree with you there. I mean, it kind of sucks that the first two games we both suggest, the one you haven't played, the one I haven't played, you know, it's not like I can be like, hey, you!
And the one you're going to recommend, which I haven't played either.
Yeah, even though, you know, you have it.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, you know, only if you play like a multiplayer game or something like that, you know?
Yeah, you know, I don't play any multiplayer games.
Not at all. It's not like you
I'm
just
a hermit.
recommended a multiplayer-only game or anything like that.
I'm basically a hermit. I just sit inside all day and just... I'm a ghost. I have no color in my skin at all.
I believe it.
So, what is this mystery game you're going to bring up?
Yeah, so it's a little game called Stellaris, right? Okay, it came out
Little.
last year. Okay.
I want one thing before you get into all of this.
All right.
I want the people at home to know how many hours are in this game right now.
Honestly, if my family found out, they probably would disown me. I'm gonna be honest here, so like I'm not too comfortable saying how many hours. You know, I'm just saying, you know, maybe too much.
Maybe a little bit.
Yes,
Just a little bit.
I may have a problem.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you really want, I will tell you how many hours I have in Warframe. If you tell me how many hours you have in Stellaris.
All right.
I feel like
Sure.
they're going to be around the same area. Don't worry.
They may. I may not be happy about this whole scenario. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, tell you what. So start talking about the game a little bit while I make absolute certain how many hours in this game I have.
Okay, so Stellaris is basically a game where you start off as a space empire. Okay, so we're already far gone from anything normal. Okay, it's a strategy game that pretty much allows you to manifest your destiny across the stars. Okay, and that's the best summary I can come up with. I mean, it allows you to do everything from, like, create your own type of species. It allows you to go at, make your own personalized, empire, right? You can decide, who's going to be in it. You can decide what government it's going to be. You can decide how you want to play the game. You could decide if, you want to shake hands with all the aliens or, kind of want to blow them up and maybe be Space Hitler. Hey, these are just the options.
It's a free-form game. It lets you kind of make your own way to getting to this goal where it's you making the strongest empire you can.
It allows for such a wide variety of play. And it's, again, one of those nice and cohesive games, right? And the reason why this one is the one I say it's going to be remembered is because all the other ones suck. Literally.
You're just going to start throwing shade on every other one?
Well, let's be honest here, right? Like, all the other ones, I doubt you've heard of, okay? Are you familiar with the Space Empire series?
No.
Okay. You probably heard of Masters of Orion.
I have, and have played, yes.
And the last good one that came out was the second one, and that was, like, in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they did do a re-release recently, which I heard was pretty good, but I haven't touched it yet.
Well, I mean, you've got some competition. You've got something like Sins of the Solar Empire, which is certainly not a new game, but
you're right.
Popular.
No, Sins of the Solar Empire is a very good game, but it's a different type of game, right? See, Sins of the Solar Empire is just like a pure on spaceship fighting game kind of deal. Like, that's what it's meant to be. Now, where Stellaris is an empire management game that you fight sometimes in, and you have a lot of fun by doing stuff and things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great descriptions.
Definitely, you're killing it right now.
I'm doing 10 out of 6.
Like most of your playthroughs, you're probably killing it.
No, I die a lot.
I didn't say you killing things. I said just killing in general. So it might be you.
Yeah, you're right. It's mostly me, actually. I'm kind of not so good at times.
Which leads to a great moment of how many hours. You can give me a roundabout number. You don't have to give me a specific.
Probably at least like 600.
Oof, that's not a lot, really.
Oh, what are you gonna pull up?
That's not good. That's not a lot.
Why? How many?
So this is completely unfair because Warframe has been around for much longer.
It has. Make me feel better about myself.
I have 1,300 hours in Warframe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours.
Like I was saying before, there are some games that come along that really capture my attention, and they capture my attention.
If any of my relatives hear this, like the part when I said 600 hours is just gonna make them sigh, like uncontrollably. Like I heard it, like I heard the sigh.
Well, here's an interesting thing we can talk about very shortly.
Okay.
I don't really think. Well, okay. I will put a cap on it eventually.
Okay.
I will. Okay. I'm not going to say all amount of hours are fine because obviously, if you're like, oh, I spent an in-game year of my life playing this game, that might be an issue. But I'm saying in-game year, not actual year.
Okay.
Because I mean, God knows that's easy. That's easy to play a game for a whole year off and on.
What do you mean by in-game year? Now you have me confused because I thought you meant an actual year.
Your total play time equals 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That let's set that the soft cap right now. Let's set that the hard cap. Let's say there. Is it really that strange to say you played a game that you enjoyed a lot that long?
I guess it's not like.
Obviously, ignoring social pressures entirely, because I mean, if I go up to my coworkers who are not gamers and I say, "Yeah, I spent 1,300 hours on a game," they're gonna be like, "What's wrong with you?"
You're right. Because like if you count in the other things people do, right? Like TV, people watch TV, right? Now, how many hours they actually watch a year?
If you go home from work and you get home at 5 and you stay up till 10 watching TV, That's 5 hours a day. You do that 5 days a week. That's 25 hours. Multiply that however many times you've done that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy. Well, that's the hard thing because no other medium has a counter for actually how much.
You're right about that.
For how much time you spent doing this thing.
And I did the math. 1,400 hours.
For what?
The five days a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did the math because I have a calculator, and I'm sometimes not smart.
I'm not gonna blame you. I didn't do the math. I was like 5 times 5. That's easy.
Yeah. It's 56 weeks in a year, right? It's 52.
Yeah,
I
that
got
one.
This.
So
I was wrong.
But that's the thing. That's the interesting thing about gaming, and to a lesser degree, like movies and such, because movies you can at least say like, "Oh, I watch the 3
You're
Lord of
right,
the Rings
you're
movies,"
right. Like-
so I know how much time I spent watching it.
Like Netflix is not keeping track of like, you know, how many hours you've spent. Well, they probably are,
Yeah.
but like you don't know.
Yeah, and if they ever showed that number to you, you'd get incredibly sad very quickly because you'd be like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's right."
Mm-hmm.
I have rewatched Seinfeld that many times,
Oh.
but I have. But that's the thing. Gaming specific in the sense that like when you play games, there's usually a counter somewhere in the game that tells you you've been playing for this long. Even single player games do it. They say on the profile that you load up, it says like, "Oh, this is how long you've been playing" or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not absurd to say like, "Oh, I spent some amount of time in a game." I mean, hell, one of the best games to come out in the last couple of years, Witcher 3, people say like, "Oh yeah, like I mean, basically that game takes like 60 hours to complete." And you tell someone you need to spend 60 hours on a task,
You know, they just cry.
they'd say to themselves like, "Oh, well, why would you do that?" Because I think the thing is, when you have that counter and you tell people, they're imagining it all happened in a very short amount of time.
That's true.
Like if I told someone I put 1,300 hours into Warframe,
Mm-hmm.
they would say, "So literally for I don't know how long that would be, a year, 2 years of your life, you just played this game nonstop?"
You
And
know,
I'd be like, "No, that's not true. I've been playing this game off and on for like years at this point."
mm-hmm.
It's never been like, "Oh, I get up at 6 in the morning and go to bed at midnight, and all I do is play that game." It's I've played it hours, maybe less, maybe more over any number of days.
Yeah, that's definitely how I do things as well.
Mhm.
You know, like it's, and you know, sometimes that time also includes, you know, just leaving your game on for a few hours. You know, that happens too. You know, that's also what could be a bit of my time.
Yeah, I imagine probably like 100. No, I won't say 100 hours. I probably want to say like 50 of those hours in Warframe is probably just me leaving it open sometimes, and not anything happening in it. Just me being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go grab a sandwich," or "I'm gonna go grab a drink." And
Oh, no, I
those
just-
2 minutes I'm gone, I come back. Over the course of many years, probably equals up to some amount.
All right, yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah. I guess I would have a lot less hours then.
Maybe. I was gonna say because also, I mean, I imagine you're like, "Oh God, I don't want to have to save or load or I imagine there's probably a time where you've fallen asleep at the computer or something like that.
I mean, no, I mean,
Really?
that's kind of bad. I've
Really?
never fallen asleep at the computer.
It's not that bad. I've done that before.
Oh no, I'm judging you now.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I'm trying to make it more inclusive, being like, it's not that bad to play 1,000 hours of a game, and then you're like, "Yo, you shit."
Nah, but I'm just busting on you because it's a little fun.
A little.
Actually, a lot.
But I guess back to the whole Stellaris thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like it's gonna be remembered how?
Just because. See, here's the thing, right? This is one of the games that you know what? In full honesty, and I don't really want to admit this, right? It's going to be remembered by a certain group of people for a very, very long time, but everybody else isn't going to give two damns about it.
Yeah, and I mean, not to knock you, even though I'd love to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that and Stardew Valley are the same thing, where it's going to be remembered very fondly by a smaller group of people. Maybe it'll be remembered on a larger whole,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, it's going to be it's not going to be brought up in the public consciousness often.
You know, when you put it in that way, I totally agree.
Mhm.
But I think that they will be remembered like amongst the gaming community.
Yeah.
But you're right. When like you could probably walk in the Walmart and talk to anybody. Have you heard of Overwatch? And they're going to be like, "Yes, I have heard of Overwatch."
I don't want to go that
thing.
far. I don't want to go that far.
I mean, why not? I mean, that's where we're going, right?
I mean, well, here's when I brought up this topic. It's not me thinking like, oh, I want my mom to know Overwatch. I was thinking the gaming scene as a whole.
I'm just saying, your mom would probably like Stardew Valley.
My mom wouldn't like games, period.
Okay.
I've tried.
Okay.
Believe me.
But this is the one to try.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, I'm grasping at straws here. Like I'm trying to climb out of the hay bale.
Well, no, I get what you're saying, at least with like the on the whole in the public consciousness. A lot of these games probably aren't going to be remembered. If anything, people will just be like, "Oh, Call of Duty, maybe Battlefield," because Battlefield clawed its way up to that point now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about specifically gaming community, because I mean, gaming community has a lot better memory than most.
I don't really think so. I would feel like, I mean, if you're just saying like just gaming community, I mean, like there are always going to be things like, oh, I know of that. At least Stardew Valley, right? Stardew Valley, I feel like is going to be remembered,
Yeah.
right? Stellaris is going to be more of a niche thing, even though I don't want to believe it is. Which I'm only going to admit at this moment, and then past this point, it's going to be remembered by all.
By
Okay?
everyone.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. I do.
Mm.
I guess, yeah, Stardew Valley will be remembered a lot more than Stellaris, because I'm
Ooh,
going to be
that
completely honest.
That hurt.
I'm going to be completely honest.
Yes.
I haven't heard a lot of talk about Stellaris this year, other than you. And people we know who play it.
And I've forced them to buy it.
I'm sure it's a great game, but I get the feeling it's going to be remembered very much by people who are fans of Paradox. I'm looking at one right now.
Yes, you are looking at. That's the developer, by the way.
The developer of the game, but also just strategy fans in general. Because if it's as good as you're saying, it definitely will be something.
Yeah, anybody that's interested in strategy, I feel like would enjoy it a lot. But
and here, tell you what, I'm gonna tear down my own interests now.
okay.
So my next one is games that I've played that I don't think are going to be remembered a long time from now, that are extremely popular right now.
Okay.
I don't feel like Doom is going to be remembered 10 years out.
You sure?
I
feel like
I'm like 90%. I'm like 90%.
I feel like it's a pretty competent game. I mean, then again, I didn't play it, so like I'm going off of hearsay from my opinion here.
Well, no,
so.
I'll tell you this right now. It is my favorite game of one of my favorite games of last year. But I don't think it does anything extraordinarily enough to make it go down in gaming history. It's not a Super Mario Brothers. It's not a Legend of Zelda. It's not a Call of Duty. It's not one of those series that's like, if a book was literally written about the history of gaming, Doom might be a small tick in that book.
I can see what you mean there, right? It's less of a groundbreaking game than it is just a really good game.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I'm not trying to knock the game in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to say this is a shit game. I'm saying it is an incredible game, but it is not a game that is going to go down in history. I think the best it'll get is 5-10 years from now. It'll be a game that people point to when people talk about shooters, and they're like, oh, I didn't think that game was as good as Doom. But I don't think it's going to be one of those games that people will come back to, like the Skyrims or the I'll just say Elder Scrolls in general, because I mean, yeah.
Well, that's a little bit of an unfair comparison, I think. Like just going about it from that angle, like I see where you're going at here, but I feel like that would be an unfair comparison because it's a different type of game. Like those are Skyrim is like a type of game you can just get lost in, right? Where Doom is more of like a down the path kind of game. That it definitely has replayability to it, right? But I don't think it's meant to be something that like you can go back and like just go after again and again and again. I mean, like it's something you can be replayed for like a good time though.
Well, what about something like Half-Life? Half-Life and Half-Life 2 are a similar game where it's a long linear shooter that does not have a lot of like Skyrim-esque open world elements to it.
Yeah.
And it's a very good shooter as well, but is remembered by history as those games. Those are landmarks, and for a lot of different reasons.
You're right.
But the thing is with me is that I don't see Doom doing any of those things that like would cement it into that place.
I guess that's true. All right, I can see what you're saying there.
And the other game, another game you didn't play, we need to play more games.
I don't know. I got time that I need to spend on things, and you know.
Oh, okay, then fine then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, sure. What is it?
I see how this is.
Yeah.
This one definitely, I can say with 100% certainty will not be remembered. Doom, I'm like lukewarm about. Doom,
Okay.
I can say with half certainty it won't be remembered.
All right. I got you.
I don't think the other game I played this year, which I had a lot of fun with, Dark Souls 3, will be remembered.
I don't think
in
so.
any way.
I don't think so.
You sure?
I mean, it's just gonna be another Dark Souls game.
Yeah, and that's kind of the feeling I get, is that people will remember the series as a whole and the first game more than any other, because they'll be like, oh yeah, Dark Souls 1, it was a masterpiece, it was great. But they won't point to the third one, which is still a very great, solid game. And they just won't point to that one and say, this is where we turned a corner or something.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like it's more of a cementing that, you know, the Dark Souls games are good games. And, like, see, the thing is about Dark Souls, right, just for those who are not too familiar, Dark Souls is a type of survival game where you fight and you die. That's just the facts.
That's a literal fact of the game.
It's basically meant to have you push forward, learning tactics to how and go against your opponents, right?
Yeah, it's
and this game is not
easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. But
the series
it's
is not known for its...
also just like the first one. It's also like the second one, even though like they all have different qualities to them. But like I feel like you're right. Like it's not going to be remembered like as the defining moment, as like a look back in history.
Yeah, unlike the first one, which is a landmark in kind of things where people can look at that, and I mean it's not a gigantic overarching people love this game, but in the crowds that it's in, which is a large enough crowd, I would say, people think of it as like almost masterpiece.
I got you. Now I feel like we should stop this topic now.
Okay.
Because like it has been going on for an amount of time.
Yes, some of that, depending on edits.
Edits? What are those? That sounds like work.
Oh, that kind of stuff. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I may do a few. I mean, I may edit that out.
This part too.
Let's not put our hopes and dreams out there, but let's try and truck on.
Okay, cool. All right then. Well, that was one of my things. So.
Okay, yeah, we're 40 minutes in and one topic down.
Yes, definitely.
This is going to be short, so short.
Well, we don't have to go over everything today.
Oh, we don't. I think we're just going to go over 2 topics now.
Cool.
Actually, the one thing I wanted to go up against was probably something that's a little bit more on the serious side, right? It's actually going to be about the whole Russian hacking election, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, like we're doing like a 180 here. I'm sorry.
Woo.
This is the blank space, and literally we're filling it in with what we think is interesting.
It's all right. Don't worry. I'll raise our spirits a little bit by talking more about Overwatch or something. I don't know.
Okay, guy.
No. Okay, so do us a favor and fill me and the audience in on what specifically you're going to talk about, because I feel like there's a lot of topics.
There is a lot of topics. Okay, so as some people may know, right, there was an election, right?
What?
Like it happened.
Brexit, man.
Like yeah. Well,
we're definitely British.
Definitely British people here. Yeah, there was an election last year between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Nobody knows about that at all. And the Russians have supposedly, the Russian government, Vladimir Putin, all that kind of stuff, right? Had supposedly hacked the Democratic Party's emails and released them out there, released a bunch of stuff, right? And apparently, it's been being said that had influenced the election to make Trump win. Okay, that's what we're going to be going over. That's the gist of it.
Now, before we continue,
yes,
they are allegations of it happening.
We
do not have concrete proof at the moment.
Mostly.
I will say, well, that's the thing. I'll say concrete proof.
Concrete is the right word to use.
Yes.
Definitely don't. But the thing about this is that all the media coverage has seemed to have been all about the fact that the Russians, had hacked things, right? Instead of the fact, about, what was in those emails anyway, right? Or, the fact that, what actually happened during the election, right? For instance, everybody was really sad when Bernie lost,
Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The KFC guy.
That's who he was!
I just
wondering why so many people knew his name.
I'm probably just angered a lot of people. No, it seems like a lot of people are very focused on the fact that Hillary Clinton lost the election, right? Which I feel like is a complete wrong focus on what actually happened, right? The reason why she lost is because the Democratic Party had pretty much pushed everything into her favor when a good portion of it was in favor of Bernie Sanders. They didn't give them equal talk times. The establishment in the party was fully on board with Hillary Clinton and really didn't want to give Bernie Sanders, anything at all, right? And a few things had come out that basically made that fact that the party did not care about, what the people had wanted to elect, instead just wanted to put out there what they wanted to elect. Mm-hmm. And that had actually made a lot of people angry, and it's also probably why a lot of people voted Trump instead of going for Hillary out of anger. That's just my little old speculation right there. Mm-hmm. Do you have any comments on this, or?
Oh, I'm just letting you finish.
Oh no!
Right, tear you a new one. No, I'm kidding.
I'm scared. But yeah. I mean, for instance, it was supposedly the impartial leader of the election for the Democratic convention instantly got put on Hillary Clinton's campaign after she had won the Democratic convention. I mean, that's...
After she had resigned from being the chair of the Democratic National Convention, she just happened to be hired on the political party of Hillary Clinton very shortly after.
Extremely shortly after.
Moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the big thing isn't the fact that, Donald Trump won, right? I mean, that is a big thing, but the thing I'm kind of picking up from things is that it seems like a lot of Democrats don't understand why he won. And okay, you're making a face.
Well, I mean, you're just reaching my maximum overload of topics I could talk about here, because you brought up at least 6 different things. I'm like, man, I could talk about that for a while.
All right.
I could talk about the DNC, Hillary Clinton, outrage culture, Trump winning, Trump, Bernie. I could talk about a lot of things.
Okay. So
tell you what,
we're going to narrow this down.
Yes.
Okay? We're going to narrow this down because this is way too many things to go over in just one instance right here, but I'll try my best to go as many as I can.
Well, just what specifically were you thinking about with everything?
Okay, so my
what bothered
biggest
you the most?
What really grinds my gears right now
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, do you have to throw a copyright logo on that? Like,
No.
I feel like that
Actually,
might be.
that may be infringement. I don't know.
Actually,
Is
I don't
it?
think anyone owns that.
I don't think so either. But
It's a joke from insert show here.
Yes. Ha 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 ha.
I'm not gonna name it because God knows.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. Actually, the biggest thing I kind of want to go over is like why people don't understand why Trump won.
There is a lot of factors as to why he got votes.
I mean, yeah, there definitely is.
There's a lot that happened as to why he won.
Mm-hmm.
And here's something I want to bring up very briefly.
Okay.
I am super interested in the history of things. Now, that's not the same as saying history, period. That is
Okay.
not saying I'm super interested in why the Aztecs did a thing so many years ago. I'm interested in why things happened the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, honestly, 20, 30, 40 years from now, this election is going to be an incredible book to read.
I agree
As
with
to-
that.
All the different aspects of everything that happened and how much of a circus show. And I mean, I say that and like, I'm sure people will be like, oh God, you're hating on Hillary or hating on Trump. No, the entire thing from beginning to end for both parties was a circus show
Yes.
for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somebody who could actually condense that down to a book of a brief overview. They could call it A Brief History in Time, Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not by Stephen King. Not Stephen King, Stephen Hawking.
Probably by
That
Dan
guy.
Carlin.
Sure. But if they wrote that and basically just went over the 1 year to 6 months, whatever span of time you wanted to cover of the election,
Mm-hmm.
it is going to be a very interesting read because basically month to month, week to week, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Something huge happened.
Mm-hmm.
With a Y. Huge. That one.
Okay.
And it's going to be really interesting to see a play-by-play of it happening. Now, I think a big, big part of it is something Donald Trump said himself.
What was that?
Was he played the game to the rules that he knew.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
One of the things that he said after he had got elected,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was like, oh, voter fraud and like Russian hacking and everything, he said that he played the game the way that he knew how to win.
Mm-hmm.
And if the rules were different, he would have played it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think on a number of different scales, he played the political game of getting elected and played it to the best of his knowledge, whether that's really good or really bad.
All right, that's fair.
So, for example, he was consistently in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently. Day after day, week after week, month after month of getting it hammered home that Donald Trump is running for president and he did X.
Mm-hmm.
So, one week, he came out nominating Mike Pence as his vice president. And Pence is known because he said some very inflammatory things towards the gays. Or believes in gay conversion camps or something like that. So that was in the news for a long time. And,
Mm-hmm.
and what's it called?
Yeah.
Any number of any
You know,
number
I can
of
definitely
things.
see that. Like his face is constantly in the news. Like he is
So-
always around. Like that's definitely true.
Yeah, so no matter what, he was getting free publicity for anything he did,
Mhm.
whether big or small. On top-
Even just small things like his Twitter.
yeah, I mean, God knows his Twitter was a big deal in this. Probably the first time a Twitter has been a big deal in an election.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even the election before this, Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, both of which had Twitters, had things to say, and they did, but it was not a soapbox for them to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
That was their soapboxes were actually things they said on video in front of audiences, in front of people, all
Mhm.
that. So his Twitter was another factor for Trump's election.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he campaigned for specific areas and not in other areas. Like, I don't know if he actually spent any time in California,
Mm-hmm.
a state that he 100% was going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
He campaigned literally in the places he knew he could win to
Mm-hmm.
make this happen. And then, of course, we get to the allegations of Russian hacking for
Mm-hmm.
a number of reasons. That's another thing. Is, would you like to talk about the Russian hacking to possibly put him as president, or would you rather talk about the DNC side of it?
Actually, I'd kind of like to talk a little bit of. You know what? Let's talk about the DNC a little bit because I feel like that's going to go into the one point I want to make. So
Yeah.
let's start on the DNC.
Yeah.
So for one, right, the DNC election this time around was clearly biased.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
And-
safe to say.
And like it wasn't even like, hey, maybe it was biased. No, it was definitely biased to the point in which the people that didn't get their guy, Bernie Sanders,
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of hatred towards the
Establishment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of people when they went out to vote, they voted in anger against the Democratic Party.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know if that's entirely true.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't affiliate with either party. I'm not, like, super one way or super the other.
I mean,
I'm
I'm a registered independent myself, so
I lean more towards liberal, but of course, like, I can see both sides sometimes.
mm-hmm.
And that always seems like a weird argument to me. For people to say, oh, I wanted to vote for Bernie, and because Bernie didn't get nominated, and the circumstances around it, I'm going to sabotage the Democrats and vote Republican. The problem I have with that is you don't agree with anything the Republicans say. If the DNC thing had happened a few days before the election, I could maybe see it in a fit of emotion, people doing it. But this was 3, 4, 6 months beforehand.
I see what you're saying, right? But I completely disagree with it. Right? So here's the thing, right? Like, the way that things had been upset, it had never been that clear cut. Right? Like, it...
We've had some political corruption in the past. Maybe
Yeah.
not... Maybe... Well, no, I'd say probably to that degree.
Yeah, but we've never had it confirmed, what, like the day after? Like, right? Like just like the whole
Well,
switch there.
Specifically that instance of, like, a candidate getting nominated, I can't say any historical references, but obviously we've had political scandals before where people are just outraged at what happened.
You know what the thing is? This election, I feel like, is actually the most watched election. Well, maybe not, like it has
Well-
the most presence in
Well,
mind. I feel.
I don't know about that because obviously we're counting it because, oh, look at us, we're fancy with our future technology of social media and live streaming and TV nonstop and all that. While people like 60, 70 years ago had TV, had radio, but
Yeah, that's
it
true.
didn't surround their life as much. I guess I could say it's probably the most watched, but I feel like that's an asterisk on it. It's like most watched because we have these reasons. So, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of lost where I was.
Well, I guess to think about your topic, to expand on mine at least. It's, I think, if it had happened a few days before, I could see people who were liberally minded, in a fit of emotion, going out and saying,
right,
"I'm going to
right,
vote
right.
Trump. I'm going to go vote for him because you know what, the DNC really screwed over the guy I wanted, and I want to stick it to them."
Okay.
But people don't stay People don't stay angry that long without thinking about why they're angry.
I guess that's true.
And in such a polarizing election, and I mean that's obviously a easy thing to say because this was not like a nice calm election.
No, it was not.
People certainly took their sides And in the end, I think a lot of the people who were like, yeah, Bernie didn't get voted for, so I'm going to go vote Trump. I think enough time passed where they realized I should probably vote Democrat because I'm either scared of the other side, I'm either worried, I'm any number of things about the Republican side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Democrats might have lost some people, but I don't think it was ever a significant number of people doing that.
Okay.
The people who were voting Trump weren't ex-Bernie supporters. Okay, I'll put it this way: the majority of people were not ex-Bernie supporters. There's probably a decent amount. Like I'm not discounting that.
I can agree with that point.
But I think the entire thing about the DNC possibly made it so less people voted.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a real possibility. Like people.
That's probably what I should have meant then. I shouldn't have meant that they actually went out and voted for Trump. I should have meant that it definitely skewed the numbers against the Democrats. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
And I mean, crap, this is gonna get really political.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. But the big thing I think really is that the Democrats and I mean without a doubt the Republicans had a bad choice in candidate. And obviously Trump won because he played the game. He did a number of things to win.
Mm-hmm.
But a feeling I got from literally everyone in the election who voted said, I don't feel 100% confident in my choice.
That's fair.
I didn't know a single person who was like, yeah, I'm 100% on board with everything that happened.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, I'll put it like this: the real people I talked to never gave me that impression.
Yeah.
The online internet people may have, but I question their judgment and opinion
Because
and
they're online
motivation really, really often.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So the DNC thing is going to be really interesting to see in 4 years when we get another swing at when the DNC gets another swing at this.
I am horribly terrified that they are not going to learn a thing.
See, I think the exact opposite. I think if anything, they're going to come out swinging with what they see as the best candidate, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. They're going to say we need to pull out literally every stop because we have no grounds at this point. We need to take something.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I could see some hesitation with that, where like I think there's a chance they might not learn a thing. But I think this election was eye-opening enough that anyone can see Democrats and Republicans need to reorganize a little bit on everything.
I mean, I hope that's the case. I do. But I don't really have too much confidence in it, to be honest.
How so?
Well, for one, I know like a lot of the Democratic Party leadership is geriatric.
Nice word.
And refusing to leave, right? And I've heard like from some younger politicians that they don't even want to bother because there's no seats to be given.
Mm-hmm.
Like even for them to even get a foot in the door, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of the DNC leadership is a little on the older side, so I'm a little scared they won't learn. I actually don't know too much about the Republican leadership, to be honest, though.
I haven't looked into it extensively either, but I haven't looked into the DNC extensively either.
Mm-hmm.
So
most of my sourcing comes off of from like sources like Dan Carlin or like a few other like political guys like him. So let me put that on my sleeve there. That's usually who I listen to. So
all right, well let me label my sources then. Most of my sources are the Donald. They're a crack team over there. Are the Brendan. That's also a good
What's
one.
The Brendan?
Are the Keanu.
Or Pizzagate.
Actually, don't. I don't even.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. Sorry. No, we won't.
No, I mean the you know about the Donald at least.
Yeah, I do.
Are the Brendan, to bring a little levity to this conversation before we dive headfirst back into it.
Yeah.
Is a subreddit all about Brendan Fraser and trying to get him to become an A-list celebrity again because people feel really bad for him and they're his favorite actor.
Okay.
So posts include how many people would go see a new Brendan Fraser movie, and it's just a stock photo of him, and it gets 23,000 upvotes.
Okay.
There are votes of like sexiest man in America, and it's a picture of him is Tarzan, and like 10,000 upvotes.
Great.
It's a great place.
That sounds like a great place.
Yep. But no, I mean, I don't even know where to pull my sources from. I pull from everywhere. Like,
like I get a little from BBC. I get a little bit from like some news threads off of Reddit. I literally get it from like different many places.
I mean that's a whole other topic we should do eventually. Is just sources in general. Because I mean, I came across something recently that was just bothered me, but that's beside the point. The sources I usually get, I cross-reference with a lot of stuff. Like, whenever I see something, I usually try and find other sources on it. I try and find out where it originated. You'd be surprised how many sources, how many websites will write a story about something that popped up on Reddit or NeoGAF or something like that. And it's like, oh, it's just an anonymous person who said this, and they're taking it as fact.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And also, we're getting off topic again.
Again, I mean, that's... Might as well.
Yeah, I mean,
but
well, let's shift things a little bit because we've kind of exhausted what we can out of that. I mean, like, dude, we can't really bring any conclusion to this.
No, I mean, it's going to be very hard to figure out what exactly happened and who went where because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'll just say, I think after many years of hindsight, I don't even think we'll have a solid answer then.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, we'll have a relatively stable ground. I mean, that's the thing with politics. Like, many years after the fact, we have some stable ground. We will never have 100% stable ground, but we will have enough that we're like, okay, we got an idea of what happened.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, the only thing that I think like you could touch on is like why I guess people decided to vote for Trump. Did you want to go over that real quick, or that's a huge sigh. You're like, no.
I think people want to see a really big wall.
I don't think that's it.
I think people want to see a really big wall. They've never seen a big wall like that before.
To be fair, that'd be if the wall was built, that'd be a pretty cool wall.
Like a lot of people are probably feeling nostalgic for the Berlin Wall.
You know what? When we tear it down, we unite with Mexico. This is that's Trump's plan.
Oh
my God. That's it. That's the whole plan.
Here's exactly what's gonna happen. Trump said to his people, he said, okay, I'm not happy that the Berlin Wall is a Russian thing. I'm not happy with that at all. So you know what we need? We need an American version of it.
Oh,
I'll be the bad guy. That's fine, but I want it to happen.
Trump's our hero. By God, I never thought I'd think of the day.
Jesus. I will give him insane amount of props if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
If that does happen, I will be 100% on board. I'll get a bumper sticker and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess back to the question.
Yeah.
Other than he wants to recreate the Berlin Wall. He tears it down like a week after building it too. He's like, I don't want to wait. It took too long to tear that thing down. We need to go. Do you want to go first? Because I mean, I feel like I have a lot of answers. I need to at least filter down to one or two.
I actually do have something on this. I feel like a lot of people voted for Trump because they felt disconnected with the Democrats and Hillary, right? Like, sure, Donald Trump may be a billionaire. Like, he literally could not be the most unrelatable person in the world. But
oh, come on, he got a small loan of $1 million. That's how he started. like all of us.
But at least for those that are politically informed, right? Like the Democrats themselves were pushing something called. Oh wow, this is. We can literally branch off to so many things. Like this is.
Like I was saying earlier, you brought up like 16 topics, and I'm like, "Ooh, you need to narrow that down, son. Otherwise, this first podcast is going to be 10 hours long."
Okay, so I'm just going to briefly summarize this. Okay, it was something called the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Oh,
okay?
yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, right. And it was something they were gonna try and pass through. It was gonna give corporations essentially more power than people. Like that's the gist of it. And it would allow corporations to sue countries, even though people couldn't sue countries.
I'm going to disagree, but I'm also going to refer to videos that are much smarter than me because I feel like that's not entirely correct.
Because that's the so what I understand about the Trans-Pacific Partnership was that.
Yes.
Okay. That's the quick explain like I'm five, version of that. Okay, of what the Trans-Pacific Partnership is. Even though they weren't telling people for the longest time. Like that was what was being pushed through. And, that's the Democrats were trying to do something like really shady there with that, right? That kind of makes people a little, distrustful of them. And
I'm letting you know right now, there's a lot that I'm going to say.
Okay, all right, okay. I see your eyes, and I'm a little terrified right now. Like, I feel like I'm about to get ripped into, like...
Oh, no, I'm not going to tear you a new one. I'm just going to say my opinion.
Cut it any time.
Okay.
Go ahead. Well, tell me, what do you think?
The one thing that I would say is that this is not... I don't want to come off as like, oh, I defend everything Obama has done. Because I don't. But this one in particular, I don't feel like we can point directly at Democrats. I feel like we can point directly at Washington as a whole.
Okay.
So, if we think about it, when SOPA and TPP and all the other bills, CISPA, I think was one.
CISPA was one of them.
CISPA. When all those bills were going through, those were also worldwide things being lobbied by multinational corporations.
Yeah.
In a Congress that was primarily controlled by...
Democrats, right?
No.
Oh, right. It was Republicans, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to point the finger directly at them at all. Because here's the thing. Washington is not made up strictly of Republicans or Democrats. Now, Congress was controlled by the Republicans at the time, but lobbyist groups and through all kinds of matter, everyone, like all backgrounds and races of people were coming up and being like, yes, I support this bill or I'm against this bill.
You know what? I guess why I was kind of thinking that, like, it was mostly the Democrats that were trying to push it through, is because, like, it's already been axed. Like, since... Like, I'm not sure now that, you're making me think about it there, you're making me kind of think, like, is that just kind of like a ploy thing, or like...
Well, here's the other thing. A lot of that was drawn up in back rooms that not a lot of people had access to. So I might be entirely wrong on that. Again, the comments will let me know.
Oh, comments. We'll get them one day.
But the way that I saw it was that it was not, oh, there's a dirty liberal thing that happened, or this is a dirty Republican thing that happened.
This is a dirty Washington thing.
This is a dirty Washington political thing that happened. And, I mean, I would put a lot more blame on the corporations that lobbied for it.
That's super fair.
Because I can't imagine it was strictly Obama was up there saying, you know what, I want to take these rights away. It was, or like, what was the name? The Congress leader at the time was like, you know what, I want to do this. It was more a long process of a lot of people getting together, and for the interest of a few people, they decided, let's put it on everyone. Let's put this in the highest court possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay. We did a thing.
Well, I lost track of myself for a minute. I blacked out and just got really angry. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
How'd you
gotcha.
edit out that whole part? I started screaming about stuff.
Jeez. I was scared. I was in the corner, and like my cat came over and tried to console me.
Just imagine like a Garfield-looking cat like waddles over and just like.
Oh, my cat. She's adorable.
She is. I don't know. I looked over like she was right next to me, but no, it's just a closed door.
The door stays closed because
Yes.
it's a lovable animal, and it will assault us.
Yes.
And it will make us love it, and that's just kind of what cats do sometimes.
Yeah, I think we can agree on cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, shut up. But the interesting thing about the whole thing is what you were mentioning is that pretty much day one in office, Trump has signed a bill axing it from U.S. entirely.
I mean, like a bare minimum, that's the best thing he's done as a human
To be
being.
Wow, alright. You want to lump his whole life in there? Not just presidency.
Yeah, okay, that was a
the
bit
safe
much.
bet of like, yeah, the best thing he's done in 3 days. No, we're going to count the whole, like, what is he, 60, 70?
70, I think.
70?
He is the
His
oldest
whole
president.
70-year life. Let's just say, yeah, best thing he's ever done.
I mean, that's being harsh, but I mean, like,
Oh, I'm just pushing
honestly,
your buttons more than anything at this point. I somewhat agree, probably.
okay, but yeah, as you could probably guess, we're not wholly Trump supporters, but like I'm more of like in the camp of let's see what he does, and so far the first thing he's done is pretty damn amazing. So I got hope for him. It's not high hopes, but
You gotta remember, though,
tell me a story.
same thing happened with SOPA.
It did. It got killed
It got
and came
killed
back.
entirely and came back. So
It did. It did.
let's not raise the ticker tape parade yet.
Oh no, we're not out in the well. I mean, some people are out in the streets. You know, there's the whole march.
He's
Too
just
many
out-
topics.
He's just out in these streets. Come on, man. What is
but,
that? What is that slang for? You hear a lot of people say that all the time. You're just
What?
out in these streets.
I don't know, like you're out in the streets. You know, like
That was-
streeting.
There you go. Perfect. But fine. Let's axe that. Go back.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, it
is a good thing.
yeah.
I'm not trying to shit on anyone's parade. I'm not trying to be like, yes, that is a great thing. That might not be a good thing after all. But no, I'm just simply saying like, good.
Let's see the rest.
Let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait before we say, you know what? Let's write him in history as real good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot he's gonna have to make up for in my book before I start calling him a good president.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, like the embassy thing isn't going well already. So,
No, a lot of things aren't going well.
but hey, you know that one really important thing that was good at least.
Yeah, and I mean, for if anything, it made it so our already third world internet here is not any worse, because that probably would have hit first the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the succession of things, if that passed, it would be internet became a lot worse. Then it would just trickle down from there to everything else we know and love in the world right now.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's true. I'm just agreeing with you.
Well, I mean, the TPP was like big into.
The main thing I knew it for was giving corporations the rights to sue countries. That's where I knew it from.
Yeah.
And to me, that's something that's like anti-sovereignty. That's something that's just like go against the principle of like, you know, having a governing state where people elect people, kind of deal. Like that seems
Like
not
a problem.
right.
Yeah, it seems like a big problem.
Especially when that didn't allow private citizens to do the same thing.
Mhm.
That was my biggest thing with it. Like, if it allowed private citizens to do the same thing, then, you know, okay, all right, I can see it now. But, like, I know there was a lot of other things that it was not going to do. That was going to be pretty unhealthy. This is wholly away from the point I was going to try to make,
Okay,
actually.
please move back to the point. I will gladly. I'm listening. I'm listening
Okay.
intently.
But I'm glad we got the TPP thing out of the way. We're covering so much today. Woo! So like the main thing I was going to make that we completely got off topic for topic.
Tropics. Oh,
Yeah.
I just want some Hawaiian pizza now.
Okay, stop in your filthy pizza anyway.
Don't give me that face. You know what you do.
This is the one and only podcast I shall be appearing on. Did Anthony have irrevocable differences? Is that it?
Yes.
That word.
That word.
That word that requires a lot of R's.
Yes.
We do not.
But
agree on pizza.
one issue that was kind of a big deal was a lot of people felt disconnected from like the government that was there beforehand, right? And Obama was the president, so like the Democrats kind of get the blame on things there, right? Was when the healthcare bill got passed, Obamacare, all that kind of thing, right? Like a lot of people got a lot of coverage, right? And that was good for a lot of those people, but for a lot more people, right? They just saw a bunch of their bills go up, right? And they felt like they were just being, well, for lack of a better word, screwed because of it, right? Like it wasn't sold well enough to people for them to accept it, right? Like what they heard, right, is that we're going to cover more people, and then they were never told about who was being covered, right? I mean, of course, like, you know, you can get individual stories from people, right? Like, oh, my mom has like diabetes or something, and like she's being covered because of that, because nobody would cover because of a pre-existing condition, right? But you know, like your average, you know, middle class guy, right, or lower income guy, right, is just that couldn't be covered by it because he just makes too much or something, right?
Yeah.
Like my dad, for instance, right? He just saw his insurance rates just go up, right? And he didn't see any outcome from this. He just saw that because of this Obamacare thing, right? That his money, that he now has less money.
Yeah.
That's I feel like was a big issue, right? Like a lot of people just saw their pockets
grabbed at, yeah.
And they didn't feel like it helped anybody.
I mean, I feel like that's a big problem with a lot of things, is message conveyed.
Yeah.
With a lot of different topics. But I can definitely see with Obamacare where people were feeling almost stolen from without a good reason why. And mind you, a lot of people knew the reasons and still felt cheated because, you know, you're parting people with their money. So obviously people are already apprehensive. But I think if it was explained well enough, that's also a politics thing, is that they have a hard time explaining their bills in a short sense. They're always like, okay, here's this 43-page document on what it is.
Oh, well, 43, that's short.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know exactly how long a bill would normally be, but
they're usually like hundreds of pages.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about strictly like the Obamacare part. I'm talking about just bills in general.
Well, yeah, I get what you're meaning, but the
long story short is, if you handed that to an average citizen and said, "This is the new bill we're making," no one would read it. Like, they do the thing everyone does, accept the terms and conditions.
Yeah, and then get angry afterwards.
Yeah, and that's partially the government's fault. That's partially people's fault. That's partially a lot of things, because
actually, this is more of like a thing that's a problem, just like with Washington in general. Like, you know, a lot, well, politicians in general, right? Like they're doing the deals back and forth with each other, and forget, wait, you still have to explain it to the people voting.
Yeah, exactly. Like
if you can't make it simple enough for the people voting, they could just get angered about it, and you know, that's, well, like people like my dad, for instance, right? He did not vote Democrat. He definitely voted Republican. And it's because he just felt like he was just being taken from.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he didn't feel like his money was going anywhere good. He just saw that, you know, on the little income that he makes, is that he just had more taken away from him. Like, that's all he saw. And it was never properly explained. I mean, like, how do you go about explaining that, though? Like, what is the way that you go forward with that?
Well, the hard thing is explaining it to someone so that they're thinking on the whole as a society and not how does it benefit me. You're going to take $50, $60 out of my pocket extra of whatever I normally pay. What am I getting out of it? And the long and short answer is not a ton. But that mother over there who has 3 kids, but also she has like some disease that she's going to live the rest of her life with, she'll never get coverage. if if the person who's getting charged more has kids, those kids now can be on that insurance much longer than before. Like for instance, I think it was 23 before, and now it's it was 26.
Mm-hmm.
So those kids now have more time, and I mean, in a society where kids stay on their parents' insurance a lot longer than normal. I don't want to say normal, but stay on it longer and longer. That was a godsend to a lot of people because they didn't want to send their kid out there who may or may not need medication and just be like, well, we can't cover you anymore. So there's that. There's a lot of different aspects to it, but I completely get what you're saying, where it's really hard to explain that to someone and for them to accept it. Explaining it enough is a gargantuan task.
Yeah, it is. Actually, this was actually the original point I was going to try to go to this topic, actually.
Good, we can go with it.
Yeah, like, at the beginning, actually, of this whole political thing, this is where I meant to steer things, and it just, all behind us, that was not meant to happen.
I don't even want to know how long we spent on other stuff.
Yeah, like, we were, it was meant to start here, actually.
Good. Next episode, we're getting an outline. We're drawing up an outline and saying this, this, and this.
Yeah. We gotta properly talk about, like, where we're going, who we're gonna see, what we're gonna go over. I'm sorry.
Why was that an action movie? Why was
I don't know.
Our talk about Obamacare didn't go as planned.
And now both of us have to try and escape with health coverage.
Ellie, where's your cat? Where's your cat? Save him! Come into the house!
Yep. That's where we went.
So all right. Well, yeah. Here's the topic then.
Okay. Where
do we go from here then? Not in this podcast. I mean, healthcare.
I'm not gonna lie. I had deer eyes there for a moment. I was like,
"What now? What now, Anthony? What now? What's next?" Okay, right. Okay, noises you make when scared. I can do this. Okay. I have many noises, in fact. I have the most noises. I have the best noises.
All right. All right, so, yeah, like, where do we go forward from that? Like...
Well, I guess here's the thing I'm worried about. And this is not a new opinion. The fact that they are getting rid of Obamacare bothers me, because a lot of things are gonna happen from that. One, obviously, a lot of people are going to lose coverage, which I'll frame in your instance where it's one person saying, "What am I getting out of it?" Not your dad in particular, but just one person on an individual level. That person is not losing coverage. Okay, whatever. Like, I'm not losing coverage, so that's fine. Number two, there's no plan at the moment in place.
Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of people are going to lose coverage, and there's not a lot that's going to happen from that. It's just going to be like, well,
it's just kind of like,
figure it out.
We're just going to cut this out, and you people deal.
Yeah. The other thing is money. And that's the part I would argue for the individual person. I would say that's going to cost our country an absurd amount of money to backpedal on this. I think the final estimates were above $1 trillion to backpedal this. And that money is coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
And where do you think that money's coming from?
That's true. That's
China. They're going to pay us. They're going to pay us to get rid of that medical system.
Yeah, that is kind of a big deal.
That's the part I would argue, because... Sorry, not to interrupt you, sorry.
Well, I mean, like, the biggest issue is, like, how do you fix this? Like, if you don't really have a way at the moment, I mean, like, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, all that kind of thing, it's something that I feel like is something we need.
Yeah.
But it's also something that probably needs to be restructured.
Absolutely. I would forward people to a lot more smarter videos than anything I'll ever say about the topic.
Should we put links in the description or something?
Just put the Vlog Brothers one in there about this whole thing.
All right.
about different countries.
That's probably
that have,
good enough.
That's a safe one.
Don't even listen to us. Just listen to the Vlogbrothers.
They're very good. But also, not sponsored, but
Okay.
we would take their money.
Sure, we would.
They're good people.
Yeah, I'm straight.
But
Love us.
But the thing that a lot of people mentioned is that in a lot of aspects, our country is falling behind on a lot of global fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of countries outside of our own have universal health care in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And to start to make steps towards that, and to then entirely stop it, and not even that far backpedal, feels like,
Regression.
yeah, on a big scale.
You're right. It definitely does.
And, I mean, this is me coming out in just a way that says, I don't want people dead in the streets. I think it's a good idea for us to have healthcare for everyone, or at least most people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe everyone's really hard to get. I mean, Obamacare proved that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just didn't sign up and paid the fees that they wanted to because it was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I don't want anyone dead in the street because a hospital says, I'm sorry, I can't take you because you don't have $10,000 on you.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of countries have this and still have people with income, people with money. It's not like, all of a sudden, these-
but I feel like a big issue is also like with the insurance companies themselves and just just over charging patients as well.
Oh yeah, believe me, believe me, I get
The thing is, it's just like it's there's so many layers to this issue. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and that's the first point I would ever make is it's never as easy as just saying yes or no.
Yeah,
Because yes and no's have consequences after that.
they do. Saying yes to one thing is going to hurt something else.
But I'm also a person where if I was supreme leader of the U.S.,
Okay.
I won't even say president, I'll say supreme leader because then I'll have more power. I know exactly where I'd take that money from, but that's for a different topic.
I'm giving you the look now.
Yes.
I kind of like that topic, but another day.
More or less, I think we can make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna take someone who's willing to make those changes happen and has the people to back them up to do it. Because one thing a lot of people argue for is that Obama never made that change that he promised. And I would argue he did the best with what he had.
I guess that's true.
There's a lot of things I don't like what he did. But there's a lot of times I'll point to another point and say, a lot of people were fighting him on this, and somehow he made it happen.
I guess that's true.
I mean, hell, the government shut down on him for, what was it, a week?
Yeah. I mean, it did actually shut down.
A literal shutdown, and that means everyone who's paid by the government out of work for however long it's out.
Mm-hmm.
That happened.
It did happen.
Because some Republicans didn't get their way. But that's too far in my own opinion. I won't go that far.
That's true. Well, that honestly, there's a huge disconnect, I think, between both parties at the moment.
Oh yeah,
it's almost vehement anger between them.
Honestly,
Like, they should be more willing to reach across the aisle, but they definitely are not.
and I mean, I really don't entirely get the reason why it's all there.
I sort of do, but then again, that's like, okay.
Well, here, let me just say this. I'm of the mindset that stealing for yourself never works out.
You're right.
And working together is almost always the best option.
You're right. Unless you don't feel like that person's actually going to work with you.
Exactly.
And I
And
feel
that's-
like that's the main feeling they all have towards each other.
And
right
that's
now.
where those feelings cultivate. Is saying, well, they're not going to work with me, so why should I work with them? And that's where that whole spiral
Like,
starts.
literally, the feeling is that we got to get all our candidates in, so, like, we can just have our way and not
Yeah.
even share with their way.
I mean, that's basically what happened with this election.
I mean, like,
It's basically a Republican-controlled Congress now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
more so.
Yeah, I mean, like, just like the Supreme Court, Supreme Court nominee, like that wasn't going to happen. Like, that's still vacant, right?
It's still vacant for.
That means Trump's going to actually pick the Supreme Court guy. Like, that's
going to lean the Supreme Court in a certain way.
Yeah.
Because God knows we know. Well, we don't know exactly who's gonna say, but we know. We've got an idea. What kind of person he's
sons
gonna
take law?
Jesus, no, please no. Please, no. Oh no.
I mean, there's not really any
After-
restrictions, right?
After all the arguing that people have made over the week of like, oh, what is conflict of interest? It's really fucking easy. It's really easy to understand what that phrase means.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But yeah, the long and short of it is, I don't even know what the long and short of it is. I know what the long is.
My brain's
We've been
little,
talking about the long.
I'm not
of it.
gonna lie, my brain's a little fried.
Yeah, I think
Like,
if anything.
I feel like less happy about myself, and
Welcome to politics. I don't like to talk about it very often.
oh yeah, I brought this up.
I was gonna say, remember that face I made before the taping when you were like, yeah, let's talk about topics, and I'm like, okay, and you're like politics, so I'm like,
So we definitely got to narrow it down next time we do.
the same noise I take whenever I take like a warhead or something, just no.
I feel like we got to talk a lot about like Tesla or something smaller and more approachable next time.
Yes, instead of the 2016 election and the proceedings of
The best games of last year that will be remembered forever.
Ooh.
We literally went as serious as we could for both gaming and politics.
I mean,
Okay, no, we didn't.
I was gonna say I could have gotten a lot worse, but yeah.
I mean, I could have gotten a lot worse too. We could have been talking about stuff that we just would be sad about in the end.
Woo. Episode 2, the sad one. Let's just leave it at that and get all the topics out of the way.
Can we just make this episode 2? And just re-record a better first episode?
Ooh.
How long would we go? We're about an hour and 40 minutes in. We can do it again.
Ooh.
No.
No. Oh, no. Oh. I think that's a good point to wrap on.
Yeah,
Any final thoughts about
do you wanna dedicate to our sponsors?
Well, you see, I love our sponsors. Our sponsors are great. We have the best sponsors.
Yeah, I know Stellaris was a great sponsor.
Listen here. I don't even want to talk about that trash company, that trash awfulness. I want to talk about this great new website I found, csgolotto.com.
Yo guy. First of all, that's not even a true sponsor. Our best sponsor was Donald Trump's hair.
I feel like there's money in there.
There is. Literally, it's recycled cash.
And scene.
Alright, we're done, folks. We're done. That's
Quality.
it. Quality stuff. You have a nice night. We'll try and do this again.
Not next time, just literally sometime we'll do it again.
Hopefully, we'll record again next Monday. That's the hope and my dream.